The Russian occupiers are preparing to surround Kupyansk and cross the Oskil River and continue their creeping advance to please Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is not going to end the war. This is stated in an analytical report by the Institute for the Study of War, ISW. It is noted that Russian troops are expanding their positions north of Kupyansk as part of a long-term operational effort to dislodge Ukrainian forces from the eastern bank of the Oskil River. The occupiers have recently intensified their offensive operations north of Kupyansk, in particular near Dvorichna, as part of a broader intensification on the Kupyansk, Borisivka and Lyman directions. But all this increases the losses of the Russians. Recently, a Russian woman from the Bryansk region, discussing the severe losses suffered by Moscow's army in the Kupyansk area of the Kharkiv region, as an intercepted call by Ukrainian intelligence shared via Telegram reveals. According to Kyiv Post media outlet, the woman, reportedly speaking about a relative involved in the fighting, described the battlefield as a meat grinder. "It's terrible there. A meat grinder. This is not what the media write and show here. That's far from the truth," she said. According to her, Russian soldiers sent into battle in this sector do not return. Nobody is coming back from there. Everyone is lying there. Everything is covered in blood. Everything is covered in blood and bones, she added. Serhiy Bratchuk, spokesperson for the Ukrainian Volunteer Army South, recently told Glavred media outlet that Russian forces are continuing attempts to advance in the Kupyansk sector. The Kupyansk sector is interesting for the enemy. It has become more active there. Ukrainian units are working in response, Bratchuk said. He said that Kupyansk-Vuzlovy is a key strategic settlement for Russian forces due to its railway and logistics infrastructure, as Russian military logistics rely on railways. Therefore, the enemy is trying to capture such locations to facilitate further movement, Bratchuk added. According to him, Russian forces are attempting to establish small bridgeheads along the Oskil River to advance towards Kupyansk and Kupyansk-Vuzlovy. These efforts are aimed at securing positions for a potential larger offensive in the area. The pace of Russian offensive operations on this section of the front line was generally much slower than elsewhere in eastern Ukraine for most of 2024, and Russian units in the area were likely well rested and prepared for the start of the months-long campaign to surround Kupyansk.
Protesters marched in downtown Los Angeles and Phoenix to protest President Donald Trump's mass deportation plans. According to Associated Press, the demonstrations were part of the nationwide Day Without Immigrants movement, with people assembling in downtown Los Angeles early in the morning. By early afternoon, some protesters were seen in the Santa Ana area. Later in the afternoon, a group returned to an overpass area by highways near downtown Los Angeles, where they continued their rally. Heavy law enforcement was on the scene in Los Angeles, and the LAPD declared an unlawful assembly at 17:30, beginning to ask protesters to clear the area. Thousands of people protesting mass deportations planned by President Donald Trump marched in Southern California on Sunday, including in downtown Los Angeles where demonstrators blocked a major freeway for several hours. According to Associated Press, protesters gathered in the morning on LA's historic Olvera Street, which dates to Spanish and Mexican rule, before marching to City Hall. They called for immigration reform and carried banners with slogans like, "Nobody is illegal." By the afternoon, marchers had blocked all lanes of US 101, causing traffic to back up in both directions and on surface streets. The demonstrators sat down in lanes, while a cordon of California Highway Patrol officers stood by. It took more than 5 hours for the freeway to fully reopen, CHP Lieutenant Matt Gutierrez said Sunday evening. The CHP and the Los Angeles Police Department said there were no reports of arrests.